All right, we're going to hear an unusual story here. All right, my next guest, David Lowery, is a Project 21 member, co-pastor at Fernwood Community Outreach Church in Chicago. Lovely place. And he was recruited recently for what was supposed to be a training program in Illinois as a way to uplift black men, but he says that's not what it was at all. He joins me now. David, good morning. Thank you for being here.
Good morning, Mr. Gruber. Thank you for having me. First, let me give all praises to God and my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, for making it possible for me to be here.
Well, I appreciate that, and I appreciate you being here. Now, tell us about this. Lay it out for us. It was supposed to be help black men. That was the guise anyway. What was the truth?
Well, the truth is this. About a year ago, I was approached by Miss Freddie Batchelor, who was part of this program. It's called the Climate Equitable Job Act. She asked me to help her recruit young men and women because I'm an outreach pastor at Universal Baptist Church under Bishop Troy Gardner. I went out to the streets. I met with some of the young people that was living in cars, living in abandoned buildings. And I told them about this program that would give them up to 600 a week. It would allow them to have housing, transportation, the whole 9 yards. These kids wholeheartedly were so happy that, I considered them for the program, that they gave me all their personal information, IDs, social security numbers, birthday, emails, all of that. And so we put them into the system for this program. And last year, we hadn't heard anything. Miss Batchelor asked me, because I live in Harvey, which is in a impacted area, if I would go ahead and, take the course. I said, sure, I would. And so after they recruited me and I got into the program, I didn't hear nothing. And a lot of people were calling me because they hadn't got called from these NGOs, 548 Foundation, the Safer Foundation, the Chicago Urban League, Chicago Cook Force, and the Divine Nine, a Greek organization that got the money for this. And so after all this time, I had never heard nothing, and I started pushing the envelope on them. Then they finally called myself and Mr. Anderson. The recruiter told me to on the 20th, come to an address where they could continue to test us and get us ready for training.
Right.
So when I went in, the guy sent me a text, but what he did, he sent me the wrong address on the wrong day. And so I went to this facility for training, and when I walked in, me and Mr. Anderson walked in, we was greeted by Spanish people, and they start freaking out. And they was saying, why were we here? But I had this Trump hat on, and so they were illegals, and they thought that I was there as part of ICE to arrest them. So I didn't even know. So Mr. Anderson,
so they all panicked because they sent you to the wrong place on the wrong day by accident.
Yes.
They're trying to keep you pacified over here. Don't ask too many questions, but if you do, just send them off here, and we'll continue training. And I use that lightly. Well, the whole plan was to really train illegals and to keep them in the system getting money, right?
Yes, because the legislation would pass September 15, 2021. And so that's almost 3 years, and you've been getting millions of dollars. These NGOs getting millions of dollars. And so our people were just sitting there waiting. So when the people in the facility start freaking out so bad, I just walked off, and Mr. Anderson was explaining to them, showing them the text that we were supposed to be there. And so when I took my camera out and I started taking pictures, I was like, wow, this is weird. I see all these illegals in here. And I said, well, I took some pictures. I took pictures of them training and of the facility. Finally, a lady came over, and she was upset the fact that I was taking pictures. And so I decided, I said, well, let's go out and let's call the instructor. So I called the instructor and told him where we was at. He got upset, and I told him, I said, well, it looked like a lot of illegals are training here. He said, yes, they are. They're supposed to be here, and you're not supposed to be there. And so, we went back and forth about, what was going on and why I was not there. And so he said to me, was there somebody in that facility with a Trump hat on and wearing red? I said, yeah, that was me, wearing the hat. And he said, did you take pictures? I said, yes, sir, I took some pictures of it because it seems odd that all these people in here couldn't speak English, was going crazy. And so he said that, again, that they were supposed to be there. I wasn't supposed to be there. And if you wore that Trump hat and that red paraphernalia into the facilities, you can no longer be a part of this program. Now, mind you, these are federal dollars. These programs were meant for people in economically impacted areas. And so basically, when he said that I had the Trump stuff on, that I was no longer in the program, that I was ineligible, and that I was kicked out of the program because I wore Trump attire to the training facility.
How convenient. The one guy that has some pictures that walks in by accident because they screwed up, you didn't, and exposes what they're doing, you're suddenly disqualified, David. How remarkable. So then, we've only got about a minute left here, but I want you to wrap up. What happened after that?
After that, I called the guy back. He never answered. They called me. I didn't return any calls. I spoke to Mike Davis of Project 3, and he got me in touch with Mike Francisco. He's helping me now. But I want to say this to President Trump and Tom Homan. You guys need to understand one thing. There's millions of dollars coming to the Black community that has been earmarked, but these organizations like the Greek organization, the Divine Nine, have been stealing money from the Black community and putting that money in their pocket. And that's why you see these NGOs across the country in these blue states, they're getting rich and the Black community continues to die.
Nothing.
And I want to let President Trump know, if I was kicked out just because I had my Trump hat on, then there needs to be an investigation into this state. That we need to have Doge here, and I wish they would contact me so that I can tell them how the money is being stolen with these NGOs, because if you just put money back here, they're going to get it.
They're going to steal it again.
Yeah. They're going to steal it again. So
I got to leave it there.
President Trump, if you get this message, please call me, get in touch with Tom, because I know how they're hiding the illegals now, and I can tell you how to find them.
Good stuff. David Lowery, Project 21 member and co-pastor, Fernwood Community Outreach Church in Chicago. There, President Trump, you have been informed. Tom Homan, you have been informed. David Lowery, our audience has been informed. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, and God bless America. Let's continue to support President Trump and make our country great again by getting rid of all these illegals.
Have we gotten to the point where at some high
and
school
those organizations
that
that
an
don't
official
support
has
American
finally had
people?
enough from coaches,
Thank you
players,
so
and
much.
adults